Geeks with beards. Podcast.
Okay. Suppose we start with your name.
Wonder Woman.
Sure. That's the last name, Woman. First name, Wonder, right?
Right.
Hey, Mike, the guy in the back of the truck, he's starting to stir.
Stay right where you are, Wonder. You caught the robbers, saved the money. You're going to have to fill out forms. We're going to need your statement.
They steal money, and I have to fill out forms. What a country this is.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to a new episode of the Geeks with Beards podcast. I'm Dan with my co-host Sean, and today we will be covering Sensation Comics #1, the first full appearance of Wonder Woman from January of 1942. So, Sean, what have you been up to since our last episode, man?
A lot of research, and I started the new Assassin's Creed game.
How's that, man?
It's good. I remember you said off mic that you were worried about not representing a Japanese person.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the way it is the African, because this is before America really got settled. He was brought in as a slave to a ministry guy.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so they bring him to the guy. I'm not sure if he's in charge of all Japan or just this area of Japan. Okay. But he takes an interest in him because he can see that he's a warrior type dude. Mm. He's like, well, you guys can have free reign with your monastery, but I'm keeping him.
Okay.
Okay? So that's how he gets into the culture.
Okay.
But the other main character, because it focuses on two characters, the other one's a female. I don't remember her name because I'm only a couple hours in the game.
Okay.
But so far it's focused more on her than it has on him.
Now, is he a historical character?
Yes.
Is he? Okay.
Of course they take liberties.
For sure, yeah.
Historical people. I mean,
sure.
Just look at the first game. They brought in aliens, pretty much.
Yeah.
Her character, I really like her, and they have two different playing styles. Like, he's a big brute, like the newer games, and she's more the stealthy, like the older games.
Well, they kind of did that with, was it Syndicate? They had the brother and sister, I think it was.
They had two, but they were still the same kind of gameplay.
Was it? Okay, I started that game. I never finished. That was actually the last Assassin's Creed game I ever played. So
I really like that one.
So have they done that since Syndicate? Have they done the two character option since then, or?
Well, with the other ones, like Origins was a straight character.
Okay.
Odyssey, you could choose either whether you were the brother or the sister, I believe.
Okay.
And then in Valhalla, you picked whether you were male or female of the same character.
Oh.
Had two different names. I hated that.
Okay.
Because if you're reliving memories, why would you get a choice in anything?
Yeah, because the original games you didn't get a choice.
And they put dialogue choices. Like, no, I don't want to choose anything. I'm reliving their memories.
Get your shit together. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know.
It's a pet peeve of mine. I'm sorry.
Dude. No, dude. You're a bigger fan than I am, so.
But yeah, I believe that's about all I've been to. What about you, man?
Let's see. I got a few new comics. Let me think. Anything notable to mention? Transformers number 18 was pretty good. Starscream still ain't got his legs. He's still attached to the Cobra Hiss.
It's just sad.
Yeah. The biggest, I mean, it's, it's a back and forth kind of thing like it has been, but the biggest thing that was good about it was Megatron finally showed up.
Ooh.
He finally showed up. Starscream and Soundwave were beating the shit out of each other at the end of the issue. Like, Starscream's ripping Soundwave's chest open. I think he ripped even another mini cassette out of his chest. And they're bullshitting each other, man. It's like, oh, you can't even walk on your own, Starscream. You have to have humans to help you. And Starscream's like, yeah, well, I ain't obsessed with little robots in my chest like you are. And then Megatron, you see an off-panel bubble, and Megatron's like, all right, both of you, stop it. And they turn around. Starscream's like, Megatron? I thought you were dead. And, of course, Megatron's standing there. And if you remember from last time, I told you he's got Laserbeak on his shoulders because he's using Laserbeak as his eyes. Yeah. Because he's missing his eyes. And basically, he's like, yeah, shit's getting real, I'm back. Let's get the Decepticons together, And Optimus and them, they see Megatron, and Optimus is like, Autobots retreat! So, and that was the best part about it, was Megatron was back.
Does Optimus still have Megatron's
He does
gun?
still have Megatron's arm, yeah. Mm-hmm. I'm thinking that's going to end soon, eventually. Other than that, I mean, I got some good books, but nothing outstanding. I did something really cool Monday. We'll speak about that at the end of the episode.
Sounds good.
But other than that, I guess we'll get into it.
All right, so we got some history.
We do have some history. You said you had 6 hours worth of research on this situation, man. Let's go into it.
All right, so we're going to start with just females in comics in general.
Okay.
Because I don't know about you, but I always thought Wonder Woman was the first. And I think we talked about this last time.
I did too, man, yeah.
No, like, they started mid to late 30s. Starting introducing them.
Okay.
First ones I could find were, let's see, first character, Magician from Mars. And she was created in 1939.
Okay.
And she's believed to be one of the earliest. You can't find a definitive answer because they had so many different comics going.
Yeah, and I wonder how well they kept records and stuff like that back in, too.
Also true, I'm sure they got destroyed and everything.
Yeah, more than likely. Because comics were children's things mostly back in the day, so.
They were, but they were very popular, like, akin to, like, TikTok for us now.
Okay, yeah, okay.
That was their entertainment.
Yeah, true.
They didn't have, like, full-on TVs in every room.
No, not yet. Well, there was that or radio.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. And, okay, I'll name a couple other characters and then we'll go on with it. Red Tornado. Listeners can't see it, but I see your look.
Yeah, I always remember Red Tornado being, well, I know this is like an android, I think, but I was male, I always thought.
Okay, well.
Or looked male.
The original character's name was Abigail Mathilda.
Okay.
Or, Mahuncle.
Okay, all right.
Not sure what the purpose of both names were, but.
Okay.
Apparently she was the first female to cross-dress, and this was in 1940. We'll have to do some more research into her.
I mean characters probably use similar names and stuff, I guess, before they got copyrighted or something.
They did.
So, I mean,
and you get like Stan Lee and all these other people just repurposing the name.
Right.
Which brings me to the next character, Black Widow.
Black Widow.
Original name was Clairvoyant. Yeah, a play on the words.
Voyant. Okay, cool.
1940. She was an anti-hero.
Okay.
Believe it or not. And then we had Sheena, Queen of the Jungle, which is pretty much a Tarzan.
I was going to say, now that name is familiar. I remember that, yeah.
It just goes on and on from there.
Okay.
Let's see. Miss Fury was the first female superhero by a female writer. June Tarpe Mills. Ruth Atkinson Ford.
Okay.
She was responsible for creating Patsy Walker and Millie the Model, which were also big comic titles at the time.
Okay.
Okay, well, let's take a little history lesson back. We were going through World War II.
Yep.
So, a lot of the characters there were at the late 30s.
Mm-hmm.
Wonder Woman had debuted a couple months before Pearl Harbor, and then the comic we're reading was the month after.
Okay.
So, that's kind of where she fits into all this.
Yeah, because her first, I guess, official appearance was in All-Star Comics, I believe it was.
Yeah, number 8.
And I think, and it's probably in your research, so I don't mean to step on your toes,
No,
but it was something about kind of testing the audience to see if they would accept her, I guess, as a character.
Well, the way it started, and we'll get in that when we talk about the creator, but this time, you gotta look at it like this. All the men are getting ready to go to war.
Yeah.
So they need a female to kind of, because females were going to start taking over the jobs that the men were doing.
Dude, yeah, the women were running the factories and everything at home while the men were fighting the war, yeah.
And that went along with comics, too.
Really?
They would start writing and drawing and all this stuff.
Okay.
Because some of the comic guys, like Stan Lee, had to go over there and write their propaganda films, or training films is what it was.
True. I didn't think about that, yeah.
And Jack Kirby, he was on the front lines and all this stuff.
Wow.
So, we go through that, and so they're wanting Wonder Woman to kind of be like, hey, girls, you got to do this. You got
to pick up the mantle of the hero while the men are away, I guess you could say.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
So, and thus, when the war is over, all the guys start coming home. They want their jobs back.
Right.
So the women go back to doing what they were doing. They start pushing the women creators down again.
Ah, got you. Yeah.
That's why you see the downtick of female superheroes after that.
Okay.
And they start doing the more like romance stuff. And
got you.
Yeah. So.
But now Wonder Woman, and she survived. I'm assuming
she did.
She probably changed.
She did,
but she did survive.
And we're going to get into that right now.
All right.
The main creator of Wonder Woman is William Moulton Marston, which he later changed his pen name to
Charles Mouton.
Yep,
I believe. Mm-hmm.
Okay, and you're familiar with this. He had a PhD in psychology.
Mm-hmm.
He was actually a lawyer for some of the horror movie companies. It might have been Universal, but it was a lot of the classic things.
Probably Universal, because they would have their monsters, yeah.
So his job was to find out what they could do legally in each state to avoid the censors.
Yeah, that's... Yeah, mm-hmm.
Before it was DC Comics, they hired him to be a psychological consultant. Just kind of, make sure they're doing everything right or whatever.
Like for children, I guess, maybe?
Yeah.
That's familiar with some 80s cartoon animation companies that would do that too. They would have child psychologists or whatever to go through the episodes and make sure they were okay to be shown on air for television for kids.
It's pretty common with entertainment stuff that they'll have like a whole board of people to check everything.
Because this would have been way before the Comics Code Authority, wouldn't it?
Well, this kind of almost leads to it.
Is it what leads to it?
It's part of it.
You sound... No.
He helped invent the blood pressure part of the what would go into the polygraph test.
Oh, okay.
Okay. He also was the first one to come up, or one of the first ones to come up with the theory that emotions are tied with colors, which would play into a Blackest Night.
Green Lantern.
So he had a
emotional
hand in
spectrum. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so after he gets in there, they're like, "Hey, you want to write a comic?" Because he just wrote some books or whatever in psychology. He's like, sure.
I know nothing about comic books, but sure.
So, I should also mention this. His wife, I forget her name, but she was also had a background in psychology as well.
Cool, okay.
She couldn't get the degree because she was a woman.
Well,
All right. Well, he's talking to her. He's like, I got this idea that the character will fight with love, or like, win the battles with love instead of fighting with their fists.
Okay.
She's like, that's fine. Just make it a woman.
Well,
she kind of...
Well, we'll get into it when we talk about that issue.
All right. So he kind of bases it on his wife and his then girlfriend because he was polyamorous.
Okay.
All right.
I ain't shaming nobody. Whatever you into, man.
I mean, at some point, they move the girl in. He has kids with both of them. So they're like, and when he dies, the girls live together for the rest.
I mean, it works out sometimes.
It works. And he was heavy into like bondage and all kinds of weird stuff. I say weird, but it's not really that weird. He was into that.
I get now why Wonder Woman uses a lasso eventually.
Oh, we're getting there, buddy. But he was a firm feminist.
Okay.
And he wanted to bring that into the comics.
Okay, cool.
He honestly thought that men were incapable of the same kind of love that women were. And he thought women should be ruling the planet.
Okay.
In all forms. And he actually did an interview before he started writing comics that he saw the great education potential in them. Oh,
for sure. Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
They're not just kiddie pictures and actions like that. I mean, they actually can learn some stuff, for sure.
And that's what he wanted to do with his story.
If the right people are writing them, you can get some decent messages into them, yeah.
Well, that's kind of like his focus was, too. Like, he's like, I just want to write the character as the character, and the stories will follow.
Exactly, yeah.
And the company kind of saw her as, like, the female Superman.
Definitely, for sure. That's how I've always seen the character.
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't really see her like any kind of super strength in this issue, but you still see some attributes that I would, at the time, would probably have been comparable to Superman.
Yeah, I would say that too.
Yeah.
But even her lasso, like originally, it made you tell the truth, but it also made you do whatever she wanted to. So he imposed heavy themes of like submitting to a woman.
Yeah.
And even like in this comic, when you see her carrying
Steve Rogers, yeah,
that's the first time that's ever happened.
Okay, yeah, because of,
and that's a big deal.
It is a big deal.
That's empowering women.
That's like Captain Kirk kissing Uhura in Star Trek in the 60s. It's the first time ever an on-screen interracial kiss had ever happened.
Exactly.
So, okay, yeah.
And I think we're almost done here.
I'll do. Educate these people, man. See, you don't just get entertainment. You get education.
You do get education.
Sometimes. You get education sometimes. I know it may not be in your research, but I wonder how long the power to make men do what she wanted with the lasso lasted, I wondered.
Okay. We'll get in that after the issue.
Okay. Alrighty.
So, yeah, there's themes of bondage, and that kind of leads to people getting upset about it, but it was a huge hit as soon as it landed.
Well, I didn't really see any, like, bondage really in this issue. Honestly.
We only did the first issue.
That's true. We only did the first issue. Yeah. I agree with that. That's true, yeah. We'll get into it now. Sensation Comics #1, January 1942. First full appearance of Wonder Woman, written by Charles Moulton and art by Harry Peter. We open the book with a brief synopsis of how Diana and Steve Trevor met, and basically he was chasing a bomber, I believe, over the ocean, and had ended up crashing his plane and ended up on to Paradise Island. Diana finds him, and she kind of bandages his wounds up, bandages his head up at least, because he's had as she would say later in the issue, he's got a brain concussion. I thought it was just concussion, but brain concussion.
Yeah, that's before we shortened it.
True. So she bandages up his wounds. She gets into her invisible jet. Well, not really a jet actually, because I think in the comic it looks like it's got a propeller on the front. So technically it'd just be a plane. I think.
I don't think they had jets yet.
Okay, yeah.
Because it was just planes during World War II, right?
Okay. My bad. So her invisible plane, and she flies him back to the United States. And I'm guessing this is the first time she had ever left Paradise Island.
That's what I got from it.
Unless something happened in that All-Star book, maybe. I'm not for sure, but...
We'll have to cover that, too.
Yeah. So she takes him back to the United States. Specifically, she goes to Washington, D.C., and she's going to take him to Walter Reed Hospital, which is a hospital for the military, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. And it's funny because you see a panel in the book, and she's carrying Steve Trevor, and she's running. She does a lot of running in this comic book. She's running, and she kind of says to herself, she's like, I'm glad this is early in the morning so the streets are deserted, so I can just run as fast as I want to down the streets.
Especially if she's as fast as as Superman.
That's what I was getting from it, because I know eventually somewhere down the line in her history she'll be able to fly, but I guess at this moment she was just speed running right now. So she runs all the way from the outskirts of Washington where she has hid her invisible plane in a barn, and she's like, well, I hope nobody, bumps into this or whatever.
All right, I got a question of logic here.
Yeah.
It's invisible. Mm-hmm. Why do you have to hide it in the barn?
Well, if you left it out in the field, I guess you can still, it's still physical. It's just invisible, so somebody could bump into it, I guess.
Just walk into it.
Or a cow could walk into it, because she's on a farm. So like a cow. What the hell? So, yeah. She hides her invisible plane on the outskirts of Washington, and she runs all the way into the city to the hospital. And she carries Steve into the hospital, and she tells the doctor, she's like, look, this guy, Steve is injured. He's got a brain concussion. Make sure you take care of him. And the doctor, he runs out and he said, wait a minute. He said, who are you? She's like, oh, I'll give you a full report later sometime. Bye. He just runs away. And so, but she doesn't leave Steve. She's actually going to hang around until he wakes up, because we find out later he's in a coma. And so to bide her time over, she remembers what her mom had told her about women's fashion and stuff in the men's world. And that's kind of how her mother and everything, because if you don't know Wonder Woman, Paradise Island is all women, Amazons. No man has ever touched foot on that island, period. Steve Trevor was the very first man to ever be on that island. And he, in his moment before he passes out, he looks up at Diana, and calls her a beautiful angel. Instantly, she falls in love. Maybe this was 1942 of the times women, I guess, maybe. Yeah. But instantly she falls in love. I think maybe the first man she's ever seen in person, probably too.
That makes sense.
So she instantly falls in love. But so she's walking around the streets and looking at clothes, women's clothes and dresses and things. She's window shopping. And I don't know, I guess it was Charles Moulton said it in the little boxes. He's like, as a woman does, she window shops. So she's looking at different clothes and dresses. She's commenting on how much fabric there is in these clothes, and it's frilly and it looks so pretty. And then you have a couple of older ladies and a gentleman off to the side panel, and they're commenting on her outfit, because she does have the kind of the classic Wonder Woman outfit, but instead of it being like a more tight-fitting lower part, it's more of a flowing skirt. Kind of. That's how I looked. At least that's how the art looked to me.
Yeah.
It didn't look like the modern kind of looking Wonder Woman outfit. But she still gets another lady still looks at her and says, "That hussy, she ain't hardly got any clothes on." And another woman's like, "She is so brazen. I can't believe she's wearing like that." And the gentleman that's close to him, he's like, "Woman, you're just angry because you don't look as good as she does." And they're just like, and then they walk away. So, and that, again, I guess that speaks on the times, I suppose, because she's showing some leg.
Well, that's a lot for them.
She's showing some leg in 1942.
That was one of their issues with it.
So after that, everybody kind of just ignores, well, not ignores, but they kind of forget her outfit after that because you hear some gunshots going off in the distance. And you see that 3 guys have robbed a bank. 3 of your classic gangster guys run out, in their suits and their hats and their guns, their bag of money. And they're running for their car. They're like, "Oh, God, we got to get out of here. We got to hurry before the police gets here." So Diana, she leaps, like just boom, over top of their car so she can block them from getting to their vehicle, keep them from getting away. Well, they're like, what? They're like, "What the hell?" They're like, who are you? Where did you come from? And one of them says, "Oh, don't worry about it. Just plug her so we can get out of here and get this money, hid away before the cops show up." So they start shooting at her. And here we go with our classic, boom, her bracelets. She's deflecting the bullets with her bracelets. And she says a comment, and I guess this may go back to her first appearance in All-Star, but she says, "Oh, it's fun playing bullets and bracelets again." I'm like, okay, that must be a callback, I guess.
Yeah, that's what I'm assuming too.
So she stops the robbers, and the Galau shows up, and Galau says, "Hey, what's going on here?" And it's like he's got a nightstick, kind of hitting in his hand. He's like, "Hey, what happened here?" Mm-hmm. And she's like, "I don't know. Somebody hollered, 'Hold up!' and I showed up, and I don't know. Bye." And she runs away again. and she never stays around. She just, she just goes. And the police is basically like, "Wait, where? Oh, no, okay, never mind." And so as she's running away, and she's on the street, she's running, this guy in a car sees her, and he's like, "Whoa." He's like, "Look at that woman run. She's running faster than most automobiles on the street." He's like, "I've got to track her down. I've got to find out who she is." So he's trying to catch up with her in his car. He's going 35 miles an hour. I still can't catch her. 50 miles an hour. Damn, she's still going faster than me. 60 miles an hour. Still can't catch up to Wonder Woman. And finally, he gets his car up to 80 miles an hour, finally catches up to Diana. And she kind of stops and like she's getting ready to fight him because she didn't know what's going on. She thinks maybe he's trying to attack her. And he's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. He's like, "Hey," he's like, "My name's Al Kale." He's like, "I want to hire you." She's like, "What?" He says, "I want to hire you either one of 2 things." He's like, "I just saw how fast you're running, so we can make a lot of money. Either you can do some races or we can put you in a theater and you can do that whole bullet thing you do where you deflect those bullets." He's like, "We'll clean up. We'll make a lot of money." So basically he wants to make Diane like a sideshow attraction.
Basically, yeah.
Basically. And she's like, "I kind of need money." And I'm like, "Do you?"
She's got to buy clothes,
I'm
man.
Like, "Do you?" She's like, "Well, I guess I could use the money." And he's like, "Well, hey," he said, "it's your choice, whichever one you want to do." She's like, "Nah, I'm not interested in the racing thing." But she's like, "But I'll do the bullets and bracelets thing, sure." I was like, "I'll do that for you." And he says, "Okay, cool." And we don't know how much time passes. I'm months, I'm assuming. And we just see a couple of little panel montages of her on stage doing the bullets and bracelets and deflect them and everything, And then it cuts to a panel where she's reading a newspaper. And the newspaper article says that Captain Steve Trevor has finally awoken from his coma. So she goes and tells Al, she's like, "Hey, I'm done. I'm done with this. I'm over it." He's like, "Well, wait a minute. You can't just leave." He's like, "We've made a lot of money. Why are you just leaving?" She's like, "I'm done. I'm over it." And he's like, "Son of a gun." And he's like, "Well," he's like, "she didn't sign a contract." He's like, "So I can't make her stay." He's like, "But she did let me hold on to her money." So you see him start taking her money. It's a pretty good substantial amount. We never know how much, but it's a pretty substantial amount. Taking her money out of the safe. So he's basically going to take all of the money and run.
Literally.
Just rob her. Yeah, he's robbing Diana and running. But she sees him out the window because I guess she goes up to the office maybe to get her earnings because she knows she's made some money. Mm-hmm. And
she's like, "Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I made money."
Yeah. I had that guy holding my money. I gotta go get my money before I leave. So she sees him running out the door to his car, and she sees the safe is empty. She's like, oh, he stole my money. So he jumps in his car, and he tries to speed off, but she grabs the bumper, and he's like, I'm giving it all she's got. The pedals to the metal, and I can't go anywhere. He's like, what's going on? And she's like, hello. She kind of just looks at him, she's holding on to the bumper. So we do know that she is pretty strong, like Superman. That's about the only time really that we see that demonstration of her power, really. Because other than that, we've just seen her running really fast.
Yeah.
And the bullets and the bracelets,
Yeah.
So she grabs him. She yeets him up in the air, and he kind of gets hooked on like a electric pole, basically. And she takes now she doesn't take the whole bag of money. She just puts her hand in and she grabs what she earned, her money.
She's got integrity.
She does. She has very good integrity. So she just takes out what she has earned. She doesn't leave him empty-handed. So then she runs away again, going to the hospital to see Steve. Well, she gets there and she's thinking to herself, how am I going to, she's like, I need to get to Steve. I need to be by his side. I need to be close to him, but how am I going to get to him dressed like this? And she sees a lady sitting on the steps of the hospital. She's a nurse, and she's crying, and she's really upset. And you find out that she is an Army nurse, and her husband says that he has a job in South America. I don't know if he was in the military. It didn't say. It just said her husband got a job in South America. I don't know. But she definitely was an Army nurse. It did say that. Mm-hmm. And she says, I'm so sad. She says, my husband's got this job, but his salary's not enough and he can't call for me. I can't go to him. I have to stay here right now. And she's really upset. And Diana, she's like, oh, that's so sad. And she's like, She's like, if you just had a little bit of money, you could go to him. You could be with your husband and be happy. And the nerd lady looks up to her, and Diana goes for it. She's like, you know what? She's like, without these glasses on, you kind of resemble me a little bit. And the nurse says, yeah, you're right. You kind of do. So Diana hands her, she's like, here. She's like, I've got a proposition for you. She says, can I buy your credentials? And I'm like, this is identity theft.
No, it's identity bought.
Yeah, true. So that's basically what she's doing. She's asking this lady, hey, can I buy your identity? Can I buy your credentials, who you are? And, so that way she can get to Steve, because she's a nurse, so she knows she can get to Steve that way. And the woman's like, are you serious? She's like, yeah. She's like, it's a win-win situation. I get to go see the man that I love. You get to go be with your husband and be happy for the rest of your life. And he got a little extra money to spend. So the woman, she's like, yeah, sure. Okay. Thank you so much. And Diana asks her, she's like, well, what's your name? And the woman says, oh, what a coincidence. My name's Diana too. Diana Prince. She's like, and you better remember that, because that's who you're going to be from now on. I'm like,
Martha.
Martha. And, so the next thing that we see is, Diana has put on the nurse's outfit, the glasses. So now she has assumed the identity of Diana Prince.
I thought that was cool, though.
It is cool. It's a good origin on how she got her last name, because I was curious, because throughout the rest of the book, it's just Diana.
Yeah.
So I'm like, where did the Prince come from? And at least the original version, this is where Prince came from. I don't know about.
I always thought it was just short for princess, and
that's what I thought too. Yeah, for sure.
This is cool.
So she goes and sees Steve. He's awake, and he's like, Angel, beautiful Angel. And she's like, oh, you do not recognize me. You remember me. And he's like, oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were somebody else. And I'm like, And Steve. And he's like, oh, I've got to get out of here. I can't do any good if I'm just laying in bed. I've got to go out and continue my fight against the enemy. And she's like, no. She's like, you need to stay here. You need to rest. So she leaves the room, and it's weird. This kind of confused me for a second. Because the next panel, we see Steve jumping out of bed, and he's got like a newspaper in his hand or whatever. I'm like, How the hell did he get that? Because the panel before, it was just him laying in bed with his head wrapped and Diana talking to him. I didn't see no paper, nothing.
Might have been on like a table next to him. Like
Could have been.
Just set it down for the patient.
Could have been, yeah. So he reads the paper and he just yeets out of bed. He's like, all right. I don't care what the doctor says. I'm gone. I've got to leave this hospital. And he's looking around, kind of the doors and stuff. He's like, oh, there's nobody around right now. He said, I'm gonna get out the window. He says, by the time they find that I'm missing, he said, they can't do anything about it. It'll be too late. They can't catch me. So the doctor, he comes in, and Diana comes in, and the doctor's mad. And he gets a little pissy at Diana. He's like, well, it's just your fault. You should have never left him alone. I'm like, well, she didn't expect him to run away and escape, And he's like, look, if he overexerts himself, he could die. He's still, suffering from that concussion. He doesn't really need to be out there doing a whole lot of physical activity. And the doctor basically is like, I don't understand what happened. What made him jump up and leave like this? And Diana finds the newspaper and she reads the article that says that there's a mysterious enemy that is going to bomb Camp Merrick with a new form of poison gas that can infiltrate the gas masks. So the gas mask won't help the soldiers whatsoever. It'll just seep right in or whatever, and it'll kill all the American soldiers on the base. So she sees that, and then we cut to a couple of little montage pages of Trevor talking to his commanding officer, which I guess the commanding officer's like, hey, you're here, you're fine, I guess. We depended on you. Go back on your mission. We got to stop this bomber. So he does, and we see that Steve is in his plane and he's attacking the bomber and nothing's happening. He's shooting him with his machine guns on the plane and everything. And he's basically like, this dude's driving a tank. He's like, there's nothing stopping this plane. I don't know what I'm going to do. And Steve finally decides, well, the only thing I can do is crash into him and pray that I survive. So that's what he does. He crashes his plane right into the enemy bomber's plane. And it works. They both planes start getting ready to crash to the ground. Steve jumps out. He pops his parachute, and oh shit, parachute's damaged. It's all ripped up. So basically, he's realizing, hey, I guess I'm gone. Guess I'm dead, But unbeknownst to him, here comes Diana in her invisible plane and scoops him up. She catches him. She's got like the little rope ladder thing that comes down or whatever, and she grabs him. She's got one hand on the rope ladder. She sticks one arm out, boom, and grabs him up and saves his life twice. Saved his life twice. And he's like, beautiful angel. He's like, you're here. You saved my life again. He's like, oh, how can I ever thank you? And then she's kind of blushing, And while they're speaking, they see the enemy bomber. He's also parachuting down. And Steve's like, oh, we got to get that guy. Because if we don't get that guy, we'll never find out where the secret base is. He's like, I did know where it was, but they've moved it since. So we got to get this guy. So Diana goes out and she is getting ready to reach out and grab the bomber, the enemy guy, and he takes and shoots at her. Of course, she deflects it with her bracelets, pops him right in the mouth. And I'm like, honey, you're super strong. You might take his head off. You might want to be a little careful there.
Well, she's new to fighting men.
That's true. So she's like, oh, they're strong. They can take it. So she pops the guy in the face and I guess, it knocks him out, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. So she takes him back into the visible plane and they lay him on the floor and Steve looks at him. He's like, oh, he's badly injured from the plane crash. He's not going to live much longer. And he's like, damn, he's not going to be able to tell us where the enemy base is. And sure enough, the guy, he speaks briefly, but right before he dies, his couple of last words is basically, he says, yeah, you'll never find us, and more of my comrades will be here, and they'll finish my job that I didn't, and you'll never find my base. And he dies. And Steve's like, oh, he's like, what are we going to do? He's like, I don't know where the enemy base is. And Diana's got a little thought bubble, and she's like, good thing I had Mom look on our magical sphere before I left Paradise Island where the base was.
How convenient.
Convenient plot. So they find out, of course, that I guess she tells Trevor. It didn't show that, but I'm assuming she tells Trevor where the base is. And they go to the main base and she busts through the door. There's two guards on the outside. They take them out and the door's locked. It's like a wood door or whatever. I think it's like in a big barn or something that they're in. So she just basically shoulder checks the door. And Steve's like, whoa, look at that. Look what she can do. So they bust in, and there's about 4 guys in there, some scientists, I think a couple soldiers, I believe. And they start firing, and they start fighting. And Steve grabs 2 gas masks. He puts one on. He tells Diana to put the other one on. He says, here. And he takes and shoots one of the canisters of that poison gas. I'm like, wait a minute. It just said that gas can infiltrate gas masks, so I don't understand how that's going to save you. But okay. Maybe I read it wrong or saw it wrong. Maybe that wasn't the new gas, but it was some type of poison gas because it said it on the tank. But so he does, and it takes out the other guys except for one. And Diana notices him, and one guy, he's got his hand on a trigger, and he's like, if I'm going to die, you're going to die with me. He pulls the lever, blows the whole base up, kills everybody in there. Well, the bad guys, that is. And you see Diana and Steve get blown back from the explosion. So Diana comes up to the rubble, and she's digging through the rubble, and she finds Steve. This was some artwork here, man. So she pulls Steve up, and she's like, hey, I think your leg's broke. And the way Mr. Harry drew it, his leg is twisted and mangled and everything, but it's not graphic. It's still in his pants, but it's twisted, almost like a Twizzler. He looks down and he's like, yeah, my leg looks like it's a little twisted up. He's like, I really appreciate you worrying about me. So that lets me know that you care about me. And, so then we cut to the hospital. She's returned Steve to the hospital, and the doctor's like, oh, your leg will mend up just fine in no time, and you'll be back out there fighting the enemy again. His commanding officer comes in, and they're all praising Steve. Great job. You defeated the Nazis. You kept them from, unleashing this poisonous gas over here. Congratulations. And Steve keeps telling him, it wasn't me. I didn't do it alone. There was, a woman that helped me. My beautiful angel helped me. Nobody believes him. Everybody thinks he's delirious. But it is, I think it's in some papers that you do see that people start calling her Wonder Woman. They're like, who is this Wonder? Who is this Wonder Woman? So that's how she gets her name in the original iteration of the character. But she comes in as Diana Prince, checks on Steve, and she's like, yeah, I heard this Wonder Woman was there helping you. And he's like, yeah. He's like, everybody keeps saying that it was me, that I did it, but it wasn't. She helped me. She done most of the work, and nobody believes me. Everybody thinks I'm delirious. I'm not delirious. And she's like, well, it's okay. You don't need Wonder Woman. You've got me. And he's like, honey, you're a great kid, and I do like you. You can't hold a candle to Wonder Woman. I'm sorry. And
this is like the whole Lois and Superman thing.
This is exactly what this is. Mm-hmm. It's exactly what this is. So we end the book with a little panel, and Diana's thinking to herself. She's like, if only Mother could see me now, a feminine woman, a nurse no less, and I'm in love with this amazing man, and to find out I'm my own rival for his love. The end.
Yeah. What an ending.
So definitely, as you were saying about Charles Mouton wanting to do a feminist, I mean, that kind of says it right there. A feminine woman, a nurse who fell in love. And she did fall in love pretty quickly. Like I said, basically at the beginning of the book, when she sees where he crashed on Paradise Island and he calls her the beautiful angel, she automatically just falls in love with him.
It's like a switch.
Yeah. I mean, hey, Steve's a handsome man, I'm not going to say.
Yeah.
He's
but at the same time, like, she's doing all the feminine stuff, but then she's also doing the feminist stuff where, like, she's saving the day. Yep. She's making her own money. Yep. She's doing,
Yeah, and it was cool because, she just jumps right into the action. Mm-hmm. Those 3 guys are robbing the bank. They're shooting the place up. She just jumps right in front of them, doesn't think twice, takes them out. She didn't kill them. She just knocked them out.
She's not a damsel at all.
No.
That's Steve.
No, roles were reversed.
They were.
Roles were reversed.
And this is the first time that happened.
Yeah. But now, this was my first time reading it. I liked it. I did. I enjoyed it, yeah.
It's cool. It's really neat to see it through like a historical perspective,
It is. And I thought those were Nazis that they were fighting, but I wasn't 100% sure until the end of the comic, and it specifically said Nazis.
Yeah.
I was like, okay. Well, and it should have clicked, but, there was several enemies that we were fighting in World War II, so I wasn't 100% sure at the time.
That's true. Well, you got to think like this he was probably writing this in October, November.
At 41, probably.
Yeah, before Pearl Harbor got blew up.
Exactly.
And then it came out right after it blew up. And then,
I mean, that's when we officially got in the war. Because at the time, we weren't even getting in the war.
No, we're like,
it was a European thing. We're like, hey, it's over there. Let Churchill deal with it. We're not dealing with it.
Or Stalin.
Yeah, And then they're like, oh, shit. All right, you bombed us. I guess we'll get into it.
Yeah.
So yeah, what'd you think about it, man?
I loved it. I love these old comics.
It's cool. I don't read enough of these old books. I love the artwork.
Artwork was awesome.
Definitely, and I guess because it probably would have been at the same time, I got a like Archie, Betty Boop feel from the artwork. Yeah. Well, I liked it though.
That's what one of the complaints was from the editors was it looks too much like the 20s.
Well, I don't see that as a bad thing.
Well, even like
I liked it.
Her character, yeah, and I liked it too. But the reason he did that is the writer told the artist, he was kind of describing his girlfriend and his wife. He was like, this is kind of what they look like, and I guess that's what they threw in there. But it was weird because William, the writer, he didn't really he wasn't strict on what everything looked like or anything. He's just like, the story has to stay the same. Yeah. That was his only thing. He didn't care what they did otherwise.
I mean, I think the art looks really well. I think Harry did a really good job. And they definitely did a good balance of her femininity, her beauty, and her strength.
Absolutely.
Like, they didn't try to, like, do a freakish looking strong woman, but you could see that she did not tower, but she definitely was somewhat taller than most of the...
She was taller, but she
definitely
was still...
taller than the men. And the stature that they had drew her in was a very strong-looking stature. Again, not masculine, but a strong feminine stature. But they also kept her beauty, too.
Yeah.
Definitely. I mean, I think the face was beautiful. I think there was a very beautiful face that they drew for her. And I don't know, at that time, again, kind of the Betty Boop Archie feel, women, I guess, can be kind of hard to draw, maybe. But I think they did a good job for the time.
It's beautiful.
I don't know what else Harry might have drawn, whatever, but I think he did a really good job on this. And another thing was definitely some Dick Tracy vibes.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
For sure. There was some Dick Tracy vibes, too, so, But I loved it, yeah.
And it's cool because you had Superman come out in 38.
Yep.
You had Batman come out in 39.
Yep.
And then you had her come out in 41. So it was like the trifecta just hit.
I mean, it's the Trinity, as they call it, so yeah. It's really cool, man. Hell yeah.
And it's cool because she's gone straight, like, since her debut, she has gone consistently with the exception of 4 months in 86. She's been going the whole time.
Awesome. Hell
in some book or shape.
Awesome. Yeah, and I mean, I didn't know about her until I was a kid in the 80s, like, again, with the Super Friends cartoon and stuff like that. That was probably my first introduction to Wonder Woman.
Was it that or Linda Carter?
Well, I wasn't born then, but I'm sure I probably saw reruns of the Wonder Woman series. Yeah, it would have been one or the other, for sure. It was one or the other. Either the Linda Carter series or the Super Friends cartoon. It was one or the other, yeah, for sure.
And the guy that wrote this, he's in his mid-40s when he did this.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah, he never did a comic before. So that's a lesson to you all.
Yeah.
Never give up. If you want to try something, try it.
Exactly, man. Exactly. Well, I don't know. In these comic book times, I don't know if I want to write or draw a comic book because
well,
you ain't getting paid too well, apparently, especially if you work at Marvel. So
this was All-Star Comics.
That is true.
Before it was
yeah, but no, for sure. Yeah, don't let age stop you on doing anything, whether it's comic books, music, whatever. Yeah,
male, female,
yeah, exactly,
everything in between.
Mm-hmm.
So he wrote Wonder Woman for about 8 years, and it was only coming out quarterly. Okay. You gotta remember, books came out different then.
Yeah. Still, though, I mean, it's a good, decent amount of time.
Well, he ended up dying from cancer.
Oh, okay.
At 54.
Okay.
And as soon as he was off the book, that's when Wonder Woman got changed.
Really?
Yeah. She started getting more lovey-dovey. She was a secretary for the Justice League, or Justice Society at that time. She lost her powers. And they actually didn't bring them back until the 70s.
Her powers?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah, there was like a magazine that put her on the cover. And they're like, what happened to Wonder Woman? Mm-hmm. So DC Comics contacted them. It's like, hey, we'll fix it.
And then that would have been about the time Linda Carter's series would have came out.
And
because she had powers in the series.
She did.
She was strong and everything.
That was what, the mid-70s, I'd say?
Probably, 73, 75, something like that, probably, yeah.
Well, this was before that, and that might have been what inspired the TV show, but...
So let's say 42, 8 years, so it would have been about 1950.
Yeah.
Roughly. Yeah, so that, the homemaker trope was still there for sure in society at the time.
And society was getting back to that kind of norm after the war. They're like, woman's place is here.
Yeah. I mean, no shade to the homemaker. It's not an easy job, I'm sure. I mean, I grew up watching my mom take care of 2 boys in the home and work a job and stuff like that. But even if you don't work an out-of-home job, because honestly, being a mother is a total job for sure. Nothing wrong with being a homemaker, but, how shit was back then. So...
What's odd, though, is it's been mostly men that's wrote Wonder Woman. It took till, like, late to get a female writer on it.
And, I mean, I've never read Wonder Woman singularly as her own comic, but I'm guessing even though men did it, they did it decently well, other than those first few changes you said they tried to do to her and stuff.
Yeah, well, I mean... Everybody was going through those changes too, because this, along with the rise in horror comics, that inspired the code. So they brought everybody down, and 60s Batman happened.
It was cultural changes going around for sure. Yeah,
so
that's for sure.
She's had a lasting impact, though. I mean,
probably longest running female character in comics, maybe.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. Sure.
Yeah. She's great. I mean, I don't know very many female comic book characters in DC, as far as heroes go. She'd have to be top as far as DC goes, I would think, for most fans.
Even Marvel, I mean, you think, what's the biggest Marvel female DC character?
Marvel female character?
You know what I meant.
I always lean either toward like Storm or Jean, but I mean, you've got other characters too. I mean, you've got, that aren't X-Men characters. Well, I guess.
Black Widow,
Captain Marvel.
Captain Marvel would be one.
Yeah, my brain's blanking right now, man, on a lot of the Marvel characters.
I guess at this time it'd be Black Widow because of the Avengers movies and all that. But
yeah, at the time, yeah.
It's crazy, ain't it?
It is, man. It's really crazy.
So, obviously we recommend this if any kind of historian, comic book person, or just a Wonder Woman fan.
For sure.
And their origins stayed like this, and then they changed it to where, was it Zeus was her dad?
Yeah, I think it did mention it. It may have, I don't know if it mentioned it in there or if it's something that I looked up briefly, but it didn't, I don't think it specifically named the gods, but it did say that she was a child of the gods. I can't remember the names, if it was Zeus or not, I forget.
Well, at this time, she was created by clay by her mom.
Okay.
And then they changed it to the Zeus was her daddy thing, and then...
I wonder what time did they change from Paradise Island to Themyscira? Or maybe it was always Themyscira, they just called it Paradise Island, maybe?
That I don't know. Okay. I didn't research that.
Okay. I'm just curious. I mean, it's not a big deal. I'm just wondering about
If listeners know, let us know. Or we'll touch base next episode.
Yeah.
So if you want a copy of this, the only single reprint I could find was a convention exclusive. And I paid $12 for my copy, and it was a fine. They went up there like $30, $40, which is pretty steep, but I'm sure they have trade paperbacks.
I mean, the convention exclusive thing, you're always going to pay a little bit more. Yeah. Unfortunately. Because now there are other stories in this. It's not just Wonder Woman. There's several other characters.
Tell me about these other characters, Dan.
I'm trying to remember what the other ones was. There was, Mr. Terrific was one other character. Yeah. I think one was Black Pirate.
Yeah.
I think. And then another one was called Gay Pirate. I didn't read any of those because we were just focused on Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
And each of them were drawn by different people because artwork was definitely different. But I was like, okay, maybe this is one of the earlier appearances of Mr. Terrific too, I guess.
That's what I'm assuming. I don't know if it's the same Mr. Terrific we know.
Idea. Yeah, I didn't research any of that stuff. I was just flipping through after I read Wonder Woman just to see what else was in there because I was like, damn, this is a thick book. And I was like, oh no, it's multiple stories. I was like, okay.
That's the way comics were too. Back then they'd throw like 3 or 4 stories in every book.
Especially, I guess, Sensation Comics. That's how it was.
Well, wouldn't that tell us the suspense that way too?
Yeah, and All-Star might have been that way too. So yeah. It was a multiple character kind of book, so.
This way.
To the war.
Well, technically the war's that way, but we gotta go this way first.
Then where are we going?
We gotta get this notebook to my superiors.
Hey, no. No, I let you go. You take me to Aries. We made a deal, Steve Trevor. And a deal is a promise. And a promise is unbreakable.
Boy, damn it. All right.
All right,
you had put a question on Facebook.
I did. I was asking who everybody's favorite comic book movie was.
And we got a few people that asked if TV shows were fine. And yeah, that's fine.
I said I'd allow it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess we could have said live action adaptations, I guess, because not everybody watches the movies, maybe. I don't know.
All right, let's see. We've added more. From Hell. I'm not familiar with that.
I didn't know that was a comic. Okay.
All right. Spider-Man 2, there was a couple on that one. Even our good pal of the show, Autumn.
Mm-hmm.
So that was theirs.
Spider-Man 2 was really good.
Akira.
Yeah, that's Japanese anime. Uh-huh.
This person had a hot take, Green Hornet.
No. I can't stand Seth Rogen's Green Hornet. I'm sorry. I can't do it.
I've not seen it, so I can't.
Can't do it.
The Punisher, they didn't specify which one.
I think all three of them are really good.
Batman 89.
Yep.
One of the TV shows was The Boys. I was like, yeah, we can count that.
Yeah. I'll count that for sure.
The Watchmen got a bunch.
The movie's really good. I've never read the comics, but the movie is really good.
Apparently the comic's amazing.
That's what I've heard.
All right. Tank Girl. We still need to do a Tank Girl.
I seen the movie years ago, but never read the comic.
Sin City, The Crow.
Yep.
Constantine.
Yep.
Jessica Jones.
Mm-hmm.
Garfield.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it was okay. I mean, the movie was all right. Bill Murray played his voice. It was okay.
And another Watchmen. So.
Yeah. And I mean, if we're going to go with TV shows real quick, I personally would throw in The Walking Dead. I love the TV show. I read maybe 50 of the comic books, maybe. I'm sure it went way farther than that, I think. I read several of the comic books, but the TV show was amazing.
Yep.
I've got one message here from Miss Anna Presley, and she's on a podcast that I listen to. Hers was Guardians of the Galaxy.
Ooh.
And I asked her, what about Guardians of the Galaxy did she like that made it her favorite movie? And she said, I love the story about this kid from Earth winding up in space. Star-Lord. I love the comedy mixed in with the truly heartfelt moments. She says that Volume 2 always makes me cry, and I sob when I watch Volume 3. Yeah. There's some heartstrings gets pulled in those movies. The soundtrack is a banger, and it's just damn fun and very rewatchable. I totally agree. It's one of those things, I knew nothing about Guardians of the Galaxy until I started watching the movies. I still haven't read any Guardians of the Galaxy comics, but the movies I loved.
Some of them are good. I got some of the newer ones. Well, I say newer. This was like 8 years ago, but they were pretty good, and they were doing some crossover stuff.
Yeah, I remember Venom joined them for a little while.
Yeah. We got something from Autumn.
Okay.
She said, love the new episode. It was a great listen. I just read that 5-issue run on Firestorm when you all said you were going to do it on this episode, and I loved it. I've not actually read the first woman appearance, so I'll definitely check it out.
Hell yeah.
And also, they're glad we liked Longlegs and Willy's Wonderland.
I still need to watch those. I haven't watched them yet.
She said that's two of her favorite Cage flicks, so
Cage
you need to.
Cage is he's an actor, I tell you what. I like him in a lot of his stuff.
I have yet to see a Nick Cage film I didn't like, but that's just me.
Yeah.
And she also asked about the Doomsday trailer. Did you watch that?
Avengers Doomsday.
Yes.
The chairs?
The chairs.
Some of the names I didn't even know because I hadn't watched Marvel movies in forever. I had to look up a lot of the names. But I've seen some pretty cool names in there. I've seen some that were omitted, but maybe they'll be added later on, possibly, maybe. Hugh Jackman.
We don't need him.
It was interesting. It was interesting to see the names on the chairs. Yeah,
Loki's coming back.
For sure. Yeah, Loki's going to be there. Who else? Patrick Stewart's going to be there. Ian McKellen's going to be there. I'm really happy.
Beast.
Yes. Kelsey Grammer. I'm really happy seeing Alan Cumming come back.
Yes.
Nightcrawler. Because, man, that was such a disappointment. He was in the second one, but there was a lot of stuff, I think, behind the scenes going on why he did not come back for the third movie.
Bryan Singer.
Well, Singer wasn't a part of the third movie, though.
Oh,
it was because he went off to go do Superman Returns. That's why.
He was still a producer, wasn't he?
I don't know. Was he?
Or
maybe he could have been. Maybe.
I think he was for all of them up until That last
could have been maybe, because I know that's why James Marston got killed off early in the third movie, because he went to go in Superman 2 with him, or Superman Returns, excuse me.
That's probably why that's my favorite X-Men movie.
But yeah, I'm really happy to see him come back as Nightcrawler, because I loved his Nightcrawler.
Yeah, he was perfect.
In X-Men 2, his Nightcrawler was amazing. And I like the little Alan Rudd one, was the little bitty chair for Ant-Man.
That was pretty good.
And of course, there were several other characters in there but it ended, of course, with RDJ, Mr. Robert Downey Jr. sitting in a chair, and he's like, and then just walks away. I know a lot of people online were commenting like, well, where's Chris Evans? Where's Mark Ruffalo? Where's this? Where's that? I'm like, well, look, this is just a kind of a teaser, if you want to say that. I'm sure these other actors, if they choose, may show up. Hell, they may just be cameos, so they may not want to let you know that they're going to be in the film.
These people may play other characters.
They may do that.
Look at Robert Downey Jr.
They may, yeah, very true. So, this is still early. It's just now starting production. This movie's not going to come out till next year anyway. So there's a lot more information that we'll probably see. We may not see. I don't want to see everything.
Same.
Surprise me. It's already a stat cast as far as that goes in with all those chairs.
That's what I told Autumn. It's like, I don't know how they're going to fit this all in one movie.
Well, I'm assuming they're going to do like they did with Infinity War and Endgame. They're going to do Doomsday and Secret Wars, maybe.
Back to back.
Well, I mean, Secret Wars is its own thing. But I feel like it's going to be that way. You're going to be part 1 will be Doomsday, part 2 will be Secret Wars. It's kind of what I think. Because Secret Wars will involve, if they go by any iteration of comic books, it will involve Dr. Doom at some iteration. I know my comment was, well, hey, what about Deadpool? He had his little Secret War situation with the black suit,
That's true.
But no, I liked it. It was interesting to see those names. So, again, somebody had to look up, because I may have watched 4 movies since Endgame ended, because I just lost interest in Marvel after that. So
I liked Miss Marvel and the sequel. Was it The Marvels?
The Marvels?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, Beast was in it.
Still couldn't say that movie.
I thought it was good.
Well, that's fine. I'm not knocking you for liking it. I just don't like
Damn
Brie
right.
Larson. I don't like Brie Larson as Captain Marvel. Just saying.
Oh, well, that's fine. Hugh Jackman.
It's amazing. Yeah.
So, you were a guest on a podcast, Dan.
I was a guest on a podcast. Give Me Back My Action and Give Me Back My Horror Movies podcast. Asked me and Sean. Unfortunately, Sean could not make it, but I was able to get on there.
Sorry, guys.
Yeah. Maybe next time. But I was able to make it Monday night, and I was guested on there. And they are a movie review podcast. They do movies from all different eras. They asked me to come on there and be a special guest on one of their episodes. I'm not going to say what it was, because I want you guys, I respect them, and I want you guys to see it, because it won't drop for a few more weeks. But it was so much fun. It was so much fun. It was a movie I probably hadn't seen in several years, so it was almost a first time watch for me. So I really enjoyed it. Had a lot of fun. I hope to get to go back on there again. Maybe we'll both be able to get to go back on there at some point, maybe.
That'd be cool.
But yeah, shout out to Charlie, Anna, Pete, and Nate, even though Nate's not there at the moment. Thank you guys so much for even thinking about us, to even ask us to guest star on there. And I hope we get to do it again in one shape or form. We'll be able to do it again, I hope. So
that'd be awesome.
Definitely check them out. Give Me Back My Action and Give Me Back My Horror Movie podcast. God, there's so many others. Oh, also real quick, I want to shout out Dustin over at the Flicks and Friends podcast and the Baron's Hideout podcast. If you guys have not listened to their Johnny English episode over on the Flicks and Friends podcast, we did a trailer for our podcast, and Dustin was nice enough to play it during that episode.
Sweet.
So if you listen to their Johnny English episode, about 33, 34 minutes into, but please listen to the whole episode. It's an amazing episode.
Don't just skim it.
No. Yeah, it's an amazing episode. Those are great guys. But if you just want to hear our trailer, it's about 34 minutes into it. So I want to thank Dustin and everybody over there to the Flicks and Friends and the Baron's Hideout podcast for doing that.
We appreciate you all.
Yeah, we do. We appreciate everybody. A few other podcasts were interested, so they might be playing our trailer too, so we'll have to see in the near future.
Sweet.
So we appreciate everybody out there. Thank you guys.
Well, if you got a podcast and you want to send us a trailer, we'll we'll happily play it.
For sure, yeah. Send it to our email, geekswithbeardspod@gmail.com. If you guys got a trailer, send it. Sean will squeeze it in the episode. You know?
And also, if any of our listeners have like we usually ask for questions or comments and stuff in our email. If you want to send me an audio clip of anything we talk about, I'll squeeze it in the show too.
Yeah, for sure. We'll play, if you guys don't mind hearing your voices played on air. Yeah, send it in. We'll play it on air. Yeah.
All right, I think that about does it this week.
That about does it for this week.
What are we doing next? Oh Lord, what have you done to me?
Well, yesterday, as of this recording, I went to a variety mall, antique shop, I guess you want to call it, and had a lot of comic books. I didn't expect to find comic books in there, so I was looking through.
That's sad. I lived down the street from it, and I still didn't know that.
They had I hadn't been to it forever, so there's a lot of comic books in there. Unfortunately, they're not sorted, and so it's a chore digging through them. So I dug through several boxes, and I found me some Firestorm comics from my personal collection, which I was very happy about. But I also found 2 titles that I want to cover. And we're going to cover one next episode. It's going to be the first issue of this comic. And it's going to be my favorite artist and yours, Jim Lee's Wildcats.
Oh, no. Oh,
Issue
no.
1.
Why?
Issue 1 of Jim Lee's Wildcats from August of 1992 by Image Comics.
My brain's going to hurt from all the sketching.
I haven't read it yet. I've only skimmed it. But I think it's going to be pretty good. And granted, now that series ran like 50 issues. So we're just going to read the first issue. I probably will never pick up any more. I just seen the very first issue and I'm like, you know what? For $1, I'm going to get this because I'm going to see if it's good enough to cover. And I think it will be. I think you'll enjoy it.
I wouldn't buy it for $1.
I'll buy that for $1.
All right, I'll accept it. Oh, by the way, this is a special episode because we got a new theme song.
Oh, yeah, we do. I forgot about that.
So we want to thank Chase with the bass, Barnard. He's done both our theme songs, so I hope you all like what you've heard this episode.
Yeah, thank you so much, Chase, for the theme song, man.
It's freaking killer.
It is, dude. He's knocked it out of the park again, for sure.
So if you guys want to contact us, we got the Facebook, we got the Instagram, Geeks with Beards Podcast.
Yeah, go on our Instagram and, excuse me, you can share some, put some pictures of your, on our Facebook page, so some pictures of your collections on there, whether it's comic books or toys or whatever you want to share on there. We'd love to see that stuff.
Can you do that on Instagram?
Well, maybe not Instagram, but I think you can on the Facebook page.
Yeah. Come to our Facebook and load it up with your pictures.
Yeah. We'd love to see your comic collection, your toys and stuff for sure.
And, of course, the email, geekswithbeardspod@gmail.com. And then also our YouTube reviews.
Yeah, we do some great toy reviews on there. We just put out our TMNT review. It's the retro reissue Donatello versus the original Donatello action figure. I love those retro toys. Like I said in the video, it's really good. So yeah, definitely get on there. If you're not a subscriber yet, please subscribe.
Yes.
Get to see some great toy reviews. They're short, 7-10 minutes long or whatever. You get to see our pretty faces, talk about some action figures from different companies and different eras like that. So definitely go check us out on YouTube for sure.
Yeah. And if you don't care, go to Spotify, iTunes, all those places and give us a good review.
5 stars, please.
5 stars. Tell us how much we suck.
Yep. Good or positive.
Yep.
Or good or negative. Excuse me. Good or negative.
Yeah, if there's anything you guys want us to try and do or whatever, let us know.
For sure. Yep. All right. That was the Geeks with Beards podcast. I'm Dan. That was Sean. And until next time, when we will cover Wildcat. Goodbye, everybody.
Geeks with Beards. Podcast.
All right. Charles Mouton and the artist is Harry Peter.
Is that a pen name or is that the real name?
I'll have to do more research.
Okay.
But yeah, there you go. If you just want to start there and name their names, and then we'll go from there.
Okay. Harry Peter. Okay. All right, everybody.